Hey folks, welcome back to Gaming Garbage, where we take a look at games, chat about the gaming news in the industry, and of course stream for fun. Today we're having a kind of like a debate slash discussion on live service. Now the initial guy that was supposed to do this, we just had scheduling issues, but he watched one of the State of Gaming podcasts that I had on like live service dying, you know, and how it opens a door of hope in the future. So I'll link that down below. But the idea was, yeah, we just had scheduling issues after about 4 weeks. Lion and I are gonna talk about just some of the points that we have, and I'll include the viewers' questions too, and he had 3. So live service is a dying market. We'll talk about that. Microtransactions are bad and greedy, and then chasing trends are a negative on the gaming industry. And so, again, you know, Lion and I, as you guys know, we both don't really enjoy live service very much. We've seen the changes of live service, and maybe in some aspects it works good, you know, like a free-to-play model or something. But generally, we are seeing how gaming has shifting, you know, for better or for worse. So, live service is live service is dying. So generally, there's just kind of like a grindiness and a microtransaction to everything, and that leads to just item collection. So we want to put that up front first of what live service is, of how we see it, and I'd probably say that's probably about right. It's a grinding or a microtransaction environment that leads to just collecting items in the game, instead of focusing on like gameplay and stuff. Jump in too, Lion, whenever you're excited about this. So as for live service dying, no, I don't believe live service will go away anytime soon, but it is having a pretty big pullback, where it's killing games, closing studios, we're having layoffs, and then we're seeing revenue loss too, where gamers are just generally saying no. And so where we see in this is Destiny 2 last year had a 45% pullback in revenue year over year. They also delayed the final shape not once but twice, understanding that they need to totally change and tweak stuff. You know, they had a great one for the Queen DLC, and then when they had Lightfall or Light Fail, really, people just did not really jive with that. It didn't seem to mesh with any of the story. It was just a totally different kind of theme too for the DLC. And half of the missions were just training with your new, you know, strand ability. We also had Modern Warfare 3 with 35% less sales than Modern Warfare 2 the year before. So again, there's another big example of a massive loss of revenue. In February of 2023, we also had a lot of games no longer supporting their game, canceling the game, shutting off servers, or just no longer supporting it. And so that was like Multiverse, Crossfire, and there was quite a few. We probably had roughly maybe 10 announcements just in February where they're like, yeah, this is going to end. We're no longer going to be invested in this. Games, too, that also failed to meet expectations were like Babylon's Fall, Halo Infinite, and the multiplayer, Suicide Squad, Skull and Bones, Overwatch 2, Gran Turismo 7. You know, wasn't that nice when they updated the game after a month, after all the reviews had already come out, and now everything was like 4 to 10 times more expensive and more grindy, and you actually got less credits per race. But hey, you could just buy them to save yourself time, so that you could get the vehicles that were now $65 million. You know, yeah, just buy your vehicles, which were like, ended up being $100. We also, too, had GTA Online, where they had over 300 vehicles that were available in the game that you could collect and work toward, and now is all just behind a subscription service. We also had Need for Speed Unbound, which that just utterly failed. Heat was a ton better, in my opinion, because Need for Speed Unbound wasn't about driving, it was about presenting your car and presenting your bling on your character instead of actually the gameplay. Call of Duty Warzone Mobile is another one. In 3 weeks, they literally saw a 95% drop in their player retention. And so, yeah, the game's just, it's done. People have gone back to Call of Duty Mobile, the original one. Destiny 2 is another one. Again, just that revenue loss, people frustrated with where it was going. And these are all games that have been failing. And I'd even probably include Diablo 4 in this one as just horrible launch, not really a lot of good DLCs, having to backtrack a ton of stuff, and telling the audience, you know, and gamers being like, oh, we can't make that change because XYZ, and then doing it anyway when there's enough backlash. Also, too, just live service dying. It may not be seen as a live service, but like NFTs. So these were non-fungible tokens where you could basically own a digital piece of something. And all we really found out at the end of the day is that it's just a receipt that you did buy something digitally. Congratulations, you don't actually own anything. So like artworks and Bored Ape was another one. It's like you don't actually own this stuff. They're just pictures on the internet, and they don't really mean anything. We also had GameStop start and remove their NFT thing within like 12 months. We also had Ubisoft too with Quartz, shut that completely down and try to start with something else. But again, that was supposed to take off in Ghost Recon Breakpoint, and that just didn't happen. And the NFT market went from hundreds of billions to literally nothing in the span of like 18 months. There were entire games too with Logan Paul like basically scamming people over stuff, over a game which he's still having to deal with, I think, toward the end of this year, because of just how much money was flooded out. And so people can either just take a payment and just agree to not pursue him legally, because that would totally sink him. Which I found out Logan Paul just backed out of the I think the UFC boxing fight that he was supposed to do. So that's not even happening. He's just a joke, folks. And then we got to recognize, too, that why partly live service is, quote, dying or seeing these revenue losses is because the lockdown stimulus that we had, which was roughly about $9 trillion into the U.S. economy, well, that just hasn't been around anymore. It came, we used it, it went, and now we're turning back to reality. And all of this money, including NFTs, I think it's a great example of this, all of this money chased goods and services. Whether they were real or not is yet to be seen. But they chased all of this stuff, priced it up way high, because, again, we had trillions that could be used between individuals, taxpayers. There were other programs, there was extensions of stuff. You literally didn't even have to pay your mortgage or your rent for like 3 years, which is insane. Not having to pay on your student loans, all of this stuff. Like, we had so much money for everybody to use, and so yeah, we bought luxury with it, we bought entertainment with it, and now we're seeing the pullback in that. And so we've had this bubble, and it's bursting. Now, NFTs has already burst. Cryptocurrency mostly has already burst, unless it's Bitcoin or Ethereum. But everything else is basically failing too, even the stable coins. And then eventually we're going to start seeing this more in the real world too, with like unemployment and other stuff. But we got to remember that that's not just people saying no to bad games. It is part of this lockdown stimulus that we had during the... And so it's just really frustrating that, I don't think live service is going away. But it is taking a massive hit, and some of these studios and layoffs are happening because of it. Anything to add, brother?
Oh, not really. I think for the most part you hit on the nail on the head. Just live service doesn't really provide any benefits to the community as a whole.
Amen.
Players, developers, publishers. I mean, maybe the publishers. It's a quick money grab, and that's kind of all it is.
Yeah, like $60 horse armor.
Yeah, oh my word. But it's but the longevity of it doesn't ever benefit anyone really.
Yeah, and what sucks too is like a lot of this stuff you can't even transfer over to the next game.
Yeah.
So you buy it all, and then hey, the next Madden, the next Call of Duty, the next whatever, and you can't even transfer most of that stuff over. It's actually been such an issue that finally Call of Duty between Modern Warfare 2 to 3 was like, hey, yeah, let's allow you to transfer some of these skins that you paid money for, which are like $30 now, which is insane. For something, and you can only wear one at a time, folks. And this is part of the issue too that I really see with live service, is the fact that it is a digital closet shopping experience. And that's all it is. And it literally sits there in your vault, and you can basically wear one thing at a time. You maybe change between things every once in a while. But at least in a game like War Thunder, I can at least earn some of those decals on my tank, right? You guys, some of you pay, 20 or 30 or even $60. If you're paying hundreds of thousands on a skin for Counter-Strike Go, like, what the frick are you doing? Like, that's all eventually going to collapse when there's no more buyers left or no more money. And that's partly what we're seeing. The other thing is, another one is microtransactions are bad and greedy. So again, we've already touched on that a little bit. In and of themselves, they aren't bad, okay? Team Fortress 2 was really one of the first ones to start this, where they had little hats that you could pay for from $1 to $5 for your characters in Team Fortress 2. And it was so successful, it made the game free. So for those that didn't, it was optional, right? Which is nice, kind of like the stuff in Dragon Dogmas 2, or some of this stuff. Well, all of this stuff is optional, actually, but like some of the games are definitely designed to get you to try to buy as much as you can, like the Unheard Edition for Escape from Tarkov. Like, that is just so ridiculous. But, when, they provide customization, they can provide also extra revenue for a company, which is nice. But when this becomes the main focus, this is when it gets bad, where the whole game is designed to get you to grind for more stuff and eventually get frustrated with that to where you're just like, okay, I'll just buy this. And this is why mobile games are so successful from a risk-reward stance. Is like it takes very little money to design the game, and then like Monopoly Go can make $2 billion in 10 months. Because people, again, aren't willing to wait, or they don't have the mental fortitude or whatever to say no to their credit card, and they're just freaking, just swiping away. And, $2 billion, folks. Imagine what you could do with just a 20th of that. I mean, I'd be retired. I'd be done. So, but yeah, it's just unreal how much some of this is. But like some of the good ones that we've had are like EVE Online. That's a very old game, actually, 2003. Helldivers 2 is another one where, again, the game is full and focused and complete in and of itself. You can have fun. It's the multiplayer. We've had a whole social culture thing built up around this game, for democracy. Frick yeah! Good job, folks, fighting against Disney on that one. Dragon's Dogma 2 is another one that's like the game is built in its entirety. It is a little grindy, kind of built that way for like traveling and stuff, so that maybe you buy some of the stuff in the store, but again, you don't have to do it. Wildlands is another one. Yeah, Sea of Thieves is another good one. Yeah. These games are full and complete, and they have story and content to do that's even free to you, or even has some DLC you can pay for, like Narco Road on Wildlands. But if you want to pay a little bit, you can do that.
Wildlands isn't quite a live service, though. That one I would still consider just your typical AAA with a season pass. It was really that turning point with Breakpoint that
Breakpoint was really
they made the Ghost Recon series into a live service game.
Yeah. Like, we could buy some like suits. Like, I bought a Sam Fisher suit or cosmetic in Wildlands, so we had those kind of options. But like, it's totally changed now too, and the evolution of what live service was, which used to be DLC packs, which that all started back in the 90s and 2000s, folks, for PC, like RuneScape or for EverQuest or for World of Warcraft. Like, these are games that have been built and done around forever, and it's like, hey, you get extra armies, or you get extra story, or places, or extra missions, and that's what kept the game going. And now we've gone through smaller DLCs, like with season passes with like Battlefield 1, for example, where you still get some modes, or you still get some extra maps, or some extra weapons, which is cool, but again, there's no real expansion on the story. And now we've gotten to live service today, where it is literally just digital stuff that you can't even see. Like, the most frustrating BS is the decals and the charm bracelet and the little nose ring. Like, nobody is going to freaking see that when chaos is happening on the screen and bullets are flying and explosions are going off. Be like, oh yeah, that's a really nice nose ring. Like, nobody's going to freaking see that. So it has gotten to a point where it is greedy. And what are some of the games that have gotten really greedy? is Destiny 2. Like, the amount of content you're paying for on a yearly basis, and even taking some away and having you repay for it again, or completely removing it from the game. I can't even see how that's legal for Destiny 2 with, like, some of the weapons and stuff. And now they just brought them all back. Like, some of the weapons they've had out forever. They're like, oh, yeah, hey, if you buy this new bundle for Destiny 2 for Final Shape, congratulations, you can get some of this stuff back that you've already regrinded and paid for over and over again. Counter-Strike Go, again, is another one. Again, all of the skins, like a stupid skin for your knife that is $500,000. Are you out of your mind? Or even $1 million. I think there was one that was like over $1 million. Who's got that money besides the grandma's gift card? Like, that's crazy. Overwatch 2 is another one. Again, you can grind for some of these skins, but after 7-8 months, you can finally have it for free. Who is going to freaking grind for 7 to 8 months to get one skin on one character? Like, that is crazy. Or you can just buy them, you know, for $10, $15 a piece. Another one, too, is, of course, Call of Duty. So, like, Modern Warfare 3 isn't even a full game. It's remastered Modern Warfare 2 maps, congratulations, along with a half-baked campaign when it was originally supposed to be DLC in the first place. But hey, they can sell it to you for a full game for $70, for bundles for $30 a piece, and then continue to add, you know, also Black Cell on top of this for an additional whatever amount. I mean, by the time you're done paying, and then we get some of the crazy stuff like Call of Duty Warzone. The MG42 meta of, like, the World War II diorama is like $125 by the time you're done getting all the pieces you needed to put it together. Or like the Horse Armor on Diablo 2 is $60. Or the Unheard edition for Escape from Tarkov is $250 and includes a new mode. And they say, oh no, it's not DLC, it's totally something different. And so the $150 you paid before doesn't count. You got to pay another $250. I mean, I would utterly just give them the middle finger and I would be done with that freaking game. So for those of you that are still playing, I feel sorry for you. But like, this is just what it's turned into. You know, and we're getting also later games and IPs. They push harder and harder to get players to continue to buy more due to loot boxes, item drops, randomization, pieces to make an item, longer grinds. Like, we're seeing that almost everywhere. And then live service games also used to be free. So like Fortnite and Apex and War Thunder and World of Tanks and like all of those types of games you could actually play, or at least a piece of it could be free, like EVE Online. But now we're getting to a point where we're paying $70 for these live service AAA games just to item collect. Like, you don't even get trophies for this. You're not getting extra points. Congratulations, you bought the freaking World War II diorama for $125. Instead, it's just a big mess of battle passes, even multi-tiered battle passes, just to try to get you to grind more. Skins, charms, bracelets, decals, extra mud flaps on your truck, bundles, skips, XP boosts. I mean, at what point it's like, are we gonna get back to gaming again, folks? Like, to say that microtransactions aren't bad or not greedy, well, that's not how they're being used. Like, clearly, the gaming industry is heading this way to just try to get more money out of you. Again, you know, Monopoly Go, $2 billion in 10 months for a free-to-play game. It's crazy. This gets into my last point, which chasing trends are a negative to the industry. So chasing the trends, it stagnates the innovation in gaming, what is made, and again, we start feeling like we've played it before, and it's also less engaging for the player. So a big trend has been battle royales. We have Warzone, Blackout, Siege, Valorant, Fortnite, Rumble, the Finals, the Multiverse, which that's coming back, the Fall Guys, PUBG, Escape from Tarkov. The list goes on, and like, we're going to continue to have X Defiant, that's coming out later this month. Woohoo! Good jolly for me. I'm going to show that to you guys because I love you guys so much and I do this for free. Please like and sub, folks. It's free. It helps out the channel. Thank you. Also, the free-to-play model. So this has been around longer, but like Overwatch 2, World of Tanks, War Thunder, Halo Infinite Multiplayer, Enlisted, Hell Let Loose, Smite, League of Legends, Warframe. So some of these have been around for quite some time in the free-to-play model again. And I can kind of give this a pass in a way. Because, you know, the company does have to make money. They can't make something and get nothing out of it, right? Okay, that's not how the economy works. That's not an economy at all. But just the amount of grind that some of these have now, and I even say too, the mobile games. Like the mobile games have totally gotten crazy, nickel and diming you on every little teeny thing, to the point of addiction. Like all of the fancy colors and the sounds, like all of that is literally intentional, folks, to continue to guide you to just play more. And we even covered this with like Call of Duty with the skill-based matchmaking. Now, people have been complaining about skill-based matchmaking for a long time, but I did a State of Gaming right here where I talked to, and I'll have that linked below too, where it's like I took a look at Call of Duty's patents on how they do skill-based matchmaking, and there's 3 of them, and I covered each one. I even gave the trade number, so you can look it up in the trademark system or patent system if you want to yourself. But like all of that is there, and it is just insane. Like the patents are all built around getting you to buy more microtransactions. The emotes, the decals, the colors, the bundles, the skins, the skips, even like wrapping you in with other players that have cosmetics you don't, so that you see them actually do better while they're screwing around with latency and stuff like this. Like, I'm not even freaking kidding, folks. Like, this is literally how it's built and designed, all to just be like, oh wow, they did really good, and they looked like Homelander or Zoolander, right? They looked like somebody, and so, hey, I want to be Peter Griffin now because that helped them win or something. Even though that sounds stupid, like, they know all of the little things to get us to buy their crap, and so that they can continue to make money. And this is where part of this addiction issue is coming from, is like, it feels good to push the buy button. Amazon knows this. That's why they're a super successful company. So anyway, but yeah, as you can tell, I'm super excited about talking about this because it just makes my blood boil. Another trend that we've had is remasters.
Hey,
just for you,
brother. I'll give you a break here. You're getting too passionate.
Let's do it. Okay,
I wanted to touch on something in the last topic of microtransactions. Now, this isn't exactly microtransactions, but I think it's just like empty promises. Because I was thinking about Suicide Squad, I think the first one that came to mind was actually Overwatch 2, where they're kind of talking about all these features they want to bring to the game, and obviously these features will be free updates. It's a live service, and that's how it typically works. Not a lot of season passes with live services, a couple, but not a lot. But because they're free updates and they don't exactly need to stick to their word, they, I think, too often go back on their word and just up and cancel whatever content they were creating. So I remember like the PvE concert for Overwatch 2 that everybody was hyped for, and they just cut it because I think I don't know if this is actually accurate or not, but I just remember hearing them say that it wasn't viable, or it wasn't like easy or too difficult to create something like that, or something. Like, it was some really lame excuse for cutting out content that they said was coming to the game.
Yeah, they said it was too hard to basically do the PvP side and PvE.
Yeah.
And so since the PvP is more profitable, that's what they went with.
Yeah.
And like that was the whole point too of like Overwatch 2 was to have the PvE side, and that's what people, bought it, and then it didn't come.
Yeah. But it's like, but now jump into the next topic that you're on now, the chasing trends. The game I'm thinking of is Suicide Squad, where this is coming from an acclaimed dev group that created the Arkham trilogy, whose publishers were forcing the devs into producing a live service that maybe some of the devs were in on that, but I can't imagine a lot of them were too excited about something like that. And we get Suicide Squad that now its numbers on Steam are less than that of the Avengers, which is a no longer supported live service game.
I know.
So it's like you got a company that's not used to making something like this, forced to make something like this. It ends up like crap, and now nobody plays it. And it's just one of those, I think, quick cash grabs that they're able to gain a lot of money over the course of a couple months. And then they don't really have to support it a whole lot afterwards. So I think that's
either because it's. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, and I was just gonna I was thinking of another game, and you might remember. There's another dev. Oh, it's Arcane. Arcane, who made Prey and Dishonored, and and I don't remember what that other kind of like that rewind time kind of back like I don't remember what that one's called.
Yeah, I can't remember either.
But again, they're another company that was I think, well, I would assume kind of forced to turn Redfall into a live service game, something they're not used to doing, and that one didn't. We all know how that one lasted. It didn't go very long.
And we have some gameplay too, folks, with Redfall. If you guys are interested, go in the backlog of gaming reviews playlist on YouTube, and it's in there somewhere. But something too is like, definitely people were not happy at Arcane Austin to make that, because they lost roughly about 70% of their devs during the development of Redfall. So they had to get more people to come in and try to finish the project. And this too is why it was partly delayed. And that's something too, is like all of these games get delayed. But like, I feel bad for Arcane, because we'll cover this in the gaming news later this weekend, folks. But like, they pitched making Dishonored 3. And the company probably sat on it and then was like, nope, we're just going to let y'all go. And like, that's horrible. Like, some people have retired, so you lose experience that way for some of these studios, but it's really a bad idea to just fire studios that have been around for like 25 years. And just and not even take the employees. Just be like, you're gone, all your experience, thanks for making us money, bye. Like, that really sucks. If I was running a company, I'd want the experienced ones to stay around. Are they going to cost more money for wages? Well, sure they are. They'll probably have more vacation too. Yeah. Are they older? Probably going to need more healthcare or medical stuff. Yeah. But, I mean, am I going to make the freaking money I want to make? Yeah. Am I going to be able to build a reputation with good games? Sure. But it's like, we got a whole bunch of younger folks that are being insourced, and a lot of older ones going out or being fired. Like, even Microsoft's last round, it's like they let go of some pretty big names at Activision Blizzard, and it's like, what the frick? Why would you get rid of those people? They've been doing this for a long time, and when you have somebody that's read a book on how to do it, they don't do very good. Like, they don't have the experience. So some other things too with chasing trends is like the remasters that we had. I mean, we've had quite a few lately. I covered this too in one of my State of Gamings, or the gaming news is one of those. Don't worry, there's a ton of them. You won't find it. But but there was a lot of remasters lately. Now, during COVID, okay, oops, I said the bad word. During COVID and during the lockdowns and stuff, it kind of made sense to have remasters, because they needed to take something they could make pretty quickly to make revenue, because the world was shut down for like 18 months. And so that's definitely a loss, and you want to keep your devs as long as you can until you fire them all. But too, like, we just keep getting a lot of remasters of stuff. We know we're going to get a Silent Hill 2 remaster. We've gotten some reboots too, some remakes. Which, like, some of these are wonderful. But again, I would also like to see a little more effort in making new IPs, taking some risk. And a lot of these big companies like Ubisoft, Square Enix, Xbox, and Sony is that they're de-risking on a lot of this stuff. My least favorite remaster, not because it was a bad one, but just because it was it was released so soon, or so close to the original, and that's The Last of Us Part 2. Is just like, the game's been out for 3.5 years, and we're going to remaster it. It's like, are you kidding? It's only been 3.5 years. I'd rather see a remaster of, like, the old Ace Combats, or, like, the old Armored Cores, or, like, G-Police, maybe, or, like, When they remastered, Myst and made Real Myst, or let me think of something relevant to you kids, remastering World at War, okay? Call of Duty World at War, remastering that entire thing, shoving it in 4K at 60 frames. Frick yeah, I would love to play that. Of course
Mass
I would.
Effect.
Oh yeah.
Mastered. But yeah.
Like some of these would be wonderful to remaster, and some of them have been good, like the Dead Space remake, or like, redo it. Oh yeah, dude, it'd be so good. Or like the remasters they did twice over for Shadow of the Colossus. You need to bring that to Xbox. That'd be nice. But like, yeah, they did that one a couple of times. So like, I understand remastering some stuff, and that's okay. But when it kind of becomes a big staple to not even make new iterations to your IP, but just continue to make remasters of stuff, it's like, come on, like. And then you want me to pay $70 or $60 for it for brand new with microtransaction stuff sprinkled in there? Get the frick out of here! No, I don't want that. No thanks. Another issue too with this is the last one for chasing trends that I could think of is chasing your own IP. So the fact that we get a Call of Duty every year, the fact that we get a Battlefield every 2 or 3 years, the fact that we had new content updates for Destiny all the time. And again, all of these started great. Same with Halo as well, like in Final Fantasy and Medal of Honor, and there's others out there too, where it's like they have literally just squeezed all of the freaking money they possibly could, and now the games suck, they're live service to death, and they're frustrating to play because they're more broken than ever. But of course the store always works. And these have just constantly been pushed, and Assassin's Creed is another one. It's like, okay, come up with something else, or maybe kind of like swing things around a little bit. And in a way, this is why I like Rockstar, is because it's like we have longer periods of time where we get the GTAs and the Red Dead Redemptions, and some of the other stuff that they're working on, or like the same with Dragon Age. Like, if it's been a while, hey, that's great, we get excited for it. Like, GTA 6 is probably the most excited most excited game people are excited for. That was tough, folks, but I made it through. I added nothing really out of this. Love y'all. But yeah, they're excited for this game, and it's because we don't get it all the time. But like, not as many people by far are excited for the next Call of Duty. Like, people have gotten burned so bad, all the way back from like Vanguard, that they're just like, I don't really maybe want to buy the next one, or maybe wait for a sale. Like, it's not worth $70.
Oh, Naughty Dog too. Naughty Dog. If you look back all the way to the PS3 era, they haven't done anything new aside from Uncharted and The Last of Us, and their last several games have just been remakes or remasters of The Last of Us. They haven't put out anything like unique, original, or new. Like, it's just been milking out those two series, and more so The Last of Us than Uncharted.
Yeah. And that's what some of these companies are starting to do. Like, Ubisoft is like, oh, we're going to get rid of some of these IPs, we're not going to focus on them, we're just going to do Assassin's Creed. And it's like, okay, that's great, okay, wonderful. We have other ones that are like, okay, hey, we're, like, Xbox recently, we want to make new IPs, but we're going to focus on the big breadwinners, which is, Elder Scrolls, Fallout, and I don't know if there's much else. I mean, that's kind of it. Like, Call of Duty, right? Okay, they bought Call of Duty and Diablo. Like, there's not really going to be a ton of games that they're going to go for. And again, it's all about what can make the most money, what can make the most profit, because these are publicly traded companies. I really wish they weren't. Instead, what I'm more excited for is like what Nintendo puts out with like the next Legend of Zelda, which is great. And we also got another example of when they don't innovate much, like Pokemon, and then we get a PAL World. It's like, woo, frick yeah, take my money. Like $30 for a preview of PAL World. And again, folks, I don't think Nintendo can do anything. They still have nothing in the courts to sue Pocket Pair. I think PAL World is here to stay. But that's what happens when you can innovate, when you take some risk, maybe even a lot of risk. But like, when it pays off, it freaking pays off. And then you have a studio like Rocksteady where it's like, ooh, it's Obsidian, it's Rocksteady, it's Bethesda, it's Machine Games. or Motive, or or Rockstar, and we get excited for some of these story-driven games because they're so good. And
Larian.
yeah, and then it's like, okay, well, Rocksteady isn't the same company anymore. They're either forced to do something they didn't want to make, or the old guard has left and the new guard has come in, or maybe a mixture of both. And then we get Suicide Squad, and it's like, do you think the next Rocksteady game is going to be super excited for? Probably not. Probably not. And like, that sucks, because now that damages that reputation. And that can get pretty frustrating.
Or they finally put out a new Arkham game and it's on VR and not consoles.
Yeah, don't spoil my news. Anyway, that's gonna be in the news too. But
frick you.
Yeah, frick you. Yeah, like it's up. Yeah, just like knifing you. I'm trying to make that a short. But yeah, if the trend is engaging emotionally, okay, if it's exciting, if it's different enough and innovative, again, like Palworld was, it's gonna work. So Pokemon versus Palworld, or like the Legend of Zelda games, or the Dark Souls games, and then they made Elden Ring on top of that, the Metal Gear Solid series, Ratchet and Clank, Spyro, Sly Cooper, Jak and Daxter, Final Fantasy for a very, very, very long time, Kingdom Hearts, Ace Combat, I could go on. Like, these games work and run well, and they make improvements. And I would say even the Fallout stuff. Like, again, we can debate as a community, like, what's not perfect, but we love Fallout. That's why there's 5 million of us playing right now concurrently on a monthly basis, because the TV show came out and we're like, frick yeah, we want to go play Fallout even if we don't like it that much for certain games. And the one that's actually had the most players has been Fallout 76, and it's probably because it's Game Pass game. Gotcha. Nope, they're all on Game Pass, folks. So that one is the big one, and that was a super failure too. It was really brutal. That was a tough one to swallow for me, because I was like, woo, so excited. But yeah, it was too much change, I think, and that's why Starfield wasn't like multiplayer or whatever. But yeah, they did fix 76. I do eventually want to play through it again, and maybe I'll get there, maybe I won't. So just some closing thoughts on whether live services has been a good thing or not. Name an independent dev or publisher that is a double or triple A that hasn't made a live service game yet. And it's kind of hard to think of one. But like Lion said, a couple of them, if you guys were paying attention. If not, we still love you. But like From Software and Larian, like they haven't made like really any type of live service aspect of what we think of live service today, which again, we define it as grinding and microtransactions to lead to item collection. That's how we see live service, and that's why some of us like, live service game, oh my gosh, are you kidding? Like, could you imagine if they made Dark Souls live service? If they made Street Fighter 6. Oh, don't have to imagine that one anymore. Okay, Tekken. Oh, they made that one too. Bummer. How about Assassin's Creed? Oh, Skull and Bones, baby. And you can't even fight on ships and crap or swim, which is like, what the frick are you doing, Ubisoft? Like, it's really hard to think. I thought of a couple others, even though these are subsidiaries of Umbrella Corps that have made live service games. These ones haven't. That's Santa Monica Studios and Gearbox. Now, we could debate a little bit on Gearbox because there's shift codes to get like skeleton keys and whatever. But again, you don't pay for those. You probably might be able to pay for those now if we pulled up the old games and took a look, or even that Tiny Tina's Wonderland.
No, I don't think you pay for any. They were usually codes that they released on product boxes, or like maybe like a Mountain Dew, or if you followed them on Twitter, they will post a code. But the keys are always free.
Yeah, that's what I was reading. Was like, yeah, they were free. I'm just covering my ass though, just in case something came out this week. Because you always get that one guy in the chat that's like, "You're wrong, man." Yes. Anyway, part of doing news, folks. But yeah, there's really not that many studios. Most of them have now gone to just live service, and even like from the GDC that did a survey of thinking about doing a live service game. 500 studios were asked, or at least responded, and 95% of them were like, yeah, we're thinking of doing a live service. And now we have a current survey from the GDC just last month in April where 600 responded and were like, not really sure if I want to do one. Over 60% are worried about the live service as a sustainable business model, which is good. Like, I am ready for some of these companies to burn, baby, and feel some of that pain, because that's ultimately what it's going to take. It's going to take withholding the cash and them seeing what's not working, and then we have Sony say, oh, hey, yeah, Helldivers, we don't need a PSN requirement anymore, never mind. It's where it's like, oh, hey, we're maybe going to cut back on our live service, and we're going to cut half of them, to indefinite maybe, and release the other 6. Or Call of Duty being like, oh wow, we lost 37% or 35%-ish revenue from the previous game because people are just tired of the BS. How many times can you buy the Galaxy skin for your gun? I mean, come on, folks. Overwatch 2, I don't think there's ever going to be an Overwatch 3. Overwatch is dead until they decide to revive it next decade for the next-gen consoles. I mean, it's dumb. And when you think about some of the games you really enjoyed as a kid, it's not the live service. It's just not. Okay, maybe with enough decades, people will be like, oh, yeah, my dad didn't keep all of his Super Nintendo games, so I don't know what's good anymore. Or all of his old Xbox or PlayStation stuff or old PC stuff, but that's really the part of this channel, folks. It's to show some of you younger whippersnappers that we love gaming and what gaming used to be and how they've converted it and contorted it into something that is just a shopping experience. It's just not gaming anymore. Ultimately, we feel that live service is taking away from making games fun. And I think that's probably the simplest way to put it. Now it's just this grindy mess to collect stuff. And stores always work while gameplay has bugs, while we have multiple delays and the game is still shit. And it's like, why are we paying $70 for that? Also, live service always needs an online connection. So they're not just getting your money, they're getting your data too. And then this is when it becomes a service and not a product. And so we look at like The Crew, even though most people probably don't play that anymore. But there is no online option, and so it's just going to disappear. Same with Redfall, that's another one. Even though they were hours away from releasing an update, they're not going to release that update because the studio's done with. And then, as soon as Redfall officially goes offline, there is no offline option. That piece of horrible history, which I think is important to think about and remember, is just going to disappear. Along with everybody's money that paid into it. Which sucks. We will cover that in gaming news as well, folks. One thing with Redfall, just in case you're still listening, thank you so much, is
I love you, one viewer.
Yeah, right. Oh, he's gone. Well, hey, that's the end of it. Thanks for tuning in, I guess. I'll see you never. Anyway, Redfall, we were supposed to get some heroes. Well, if you did buy that DLC, the heroes now, of course, aren't coming because the studio's closed. Redfall is not going to get any more updates, but you will be refunded that, at least credit-wise, in your store. So, at least you get that, which is nice. But, yeah, that's what I got for live service. I really flippin' hate it. And sometimes it works. Okay? Sometimes it works great. Helldivers 2 is a wonderful example of this. And even if, like, Pal World decided to give hats or certain whatevers to your pals, the game is still there in its entirety, and it's fun, and you can disappear for hours in there. I already have hundreds of hours, folks. But yeah, overall live service, we're having a massive pullback again. I don't think it's going to disappear, but we're just having a massive pullback in revenue, and this is why these studios are closing. Okay, it's because they're not making enough money. And then microtransactions are generally greedy, because that's how these publishers are using them. And then they're chasing the trends of making the battle royales, making the free-to-play models, the mobile games, the remasters, chasing their own IP. And I still think it's going to get worse before it gets better. And the only way to really affect it again is just withholding the money. So, anything to add, Lion? I want to be done with this shit.
I want to be done.
So thanks for tuning in, folks. You can always follow us at GamingGarbage22 over at YouTube, and also over Don't Tread on Thee on Twitch. Don't forget we have a Discord. It's just not to just mingle, but also to find other folks to play with on whatever platform, whatever game. You know, that used to be pretty common, and we'd love to bring that back. So thanks for tuning in, folks. Like and sub, it's free, and then also share the content if you enjoyed it, and we'll see you guys on the next one.